Welcome to another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast, featuring the almighty B Live, the money man Scottie D, and your host, the head of creative, Eddy Cool. The Sports Bros Podcast is a sports podcast that's by the fans, for the fans, talking sports just the way you like it. And without any further ado, let's give it up for the Sports Bros. Hey, what's going on, world? It's your boy Eddy Cool, and welcome to another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. I lost count. No, I'm lying. This is episode 141 of your favorite Sports Bros Podcast, none other than the Sports Bros Podcast. And this is going to be the last one to talk about Antonio Brown on this here podcast. When he quit on the Buccaneers, for a split second, we all did live vicariously through Antonio Brown because that's how you quit a job in style. But enough of my incoherent rambling. I'm here to introduce two of the best co-hosts in the world. Introducing first, the almighty B Live.
What's happening? What's going on in the world today? I got one simple question. Has your blood pressure gone down yet? Has it gone down yet after this weekend? By far the best weekend of playoff football ever. Mm-hmm. And what topped that off was the fact that the Cowboys were no longer part of the picture. My bad.
Thank God.
My bad. I had to just throw that in there real quick. My Panthers ain't doing Nathaniel, but sitting on the couch as well. But go ahead and introduce that other guy that you already hear him mumbling and grumbling about it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, and the other guy, he is the pride of Washington, Pennsylvania, fighting the snow, the cold, and weather delays. The one, the only, the money man, Scottie D.
I am the tiger. It's the thrill of the fight. Yeah, we fighting, baby. It is snowing as I speak to you right now. I just got done fighting COVID. I'm better. I'm back better than ever. I did have a little of that cocoa last week. I think everybody I know has had it now. I think everybody has got this. But praise the Lord, didn't get sick. Just a little bit of a cough. My family got it. They got through it pretty much unscathed. I'm prepared for this. I did get the shots, the booster, and all that stuff. And that's going to lead me to another point later in the show. But anyway, man, what an exciting weekend of football, man. The NFL was 4 for 4. This is what happens when the cream of the crop plays. None of those 7 seeds. Got rid of them last week. Those lousy. This week was good football. And Eddy, let's just get right into it. I don't even want to talk silly. I'm just ready to talk football. So lead us to where we need to go here.
I will, but before I say that, I will say this, fellas. Guess what? I had the entire weekend off. All right. I had the entire weekend off. So I was able to sit on my behind after covering my games for Keon Sports Media Group and watch some football, some playoff football. I watched all 4 games. They went to the stove, got some chicken wings, but that's neither here nor there. So let's go ahead and hop into it, man. 1, 2, 3, 4 games on the weekend slate. First off, let's talk about the Rams and the Buccaneers. Because why are we talking about the Rams and the Buccaneers first? Because that means there will be a new Super Bowl champion on February the 13th. Why in the hell is the Super Bowl on Valentine weekend? See, NFL, you're dirty for that. It's going to be a lot of arguments and divorces on that. You got to plan that better, man.
Big facts.
Yeah, you got to plan that better. And here it is. I got to figure out how the hell not to go to work on that Sunday. Like the last time I worked the Super Bowl, I'm like, I told my manager, like, hey, I can't do this. And she was like, well, you got to work. And that's why her sorry ass Eagles lost. But that's neither here nor there. All right. So let's go ahead and fellas and dive into this here Rams and Buccaneers game. Fellas, the Rams damn near let it get away. And it almost happened again. And that man, number 12, he always seems to find a way to come back. And I was going to say it, and I'll go ahead and say it now. You can never bet against Thomas, Edward, Patrick, Charles, Carmichael, Fitzgerald, Brady, the 4th order of Canada. But They didn't. They came up short. And Scottie D, what's your thoughts on this here game?
Actually, you can bet against him, and I did this weekend.
Oh,
I did. I took the Rams plus 3 points. Now, last week when we recorded, we had not yet known the outcome of the Rams-Cardinals game, and based on that, I just kind of threw away pick. I took the Buccaneers. I think B-Live said he's taking either. No matter who won that game, he was picking them against the Buccaneers. And after watching the Rams last Monday night against the Cardinals, I thought that they just had that look. Like it looked like their defense was starting to come together, and they, offensively, they have the weapons, and they looked like a championship team in that first half. And then I don't know what the heck happened to them from just seconds before halftime on. They got whoopsie with the ball like it was a slippery bar of soap. Matthew Stafford's a guy that has been the one that's much maligned because he never won any playoff games in Detroit. And can Matthew Stafford handle this? Man, he played fine. He's not the guy that turned the ball over. But for a while there, it felt like the Rams were rooting for the Buccaneers. It felt like they were doing what other teams in the past. And the one that jumps out at you, obviously, was the Falcons, because it was 28-3 in the Super Bowl a few years ago. And on Sunday, it was 27-3. And the Buccaneers got down the field and they kicked a field goal, and like, okay, 27-6. And then Cooper Kupp fumbled, and then the avalanche began. And then what was up with the Rams not being able to take care of the football? And the Buccaneers came all the way back. I couldn't believe it. And then it just seemed like all signs pointed to, we're going to go to overtime. And if the Buccaneers win that toss, it's going to be hard to stop them. But Matthew Stafford made the throw of his lifetime. He made actually 2 very good ones on that last drive. He made a Cooper Kupp. He hit him on an out pattern to set up that last bomb that he hit, going streaking right down the middle. Perfect pass. And at that point, I think all of America's yelling, get down there and spike it, because I think most people were rooting against Tom Brady. At this point, all of America wanted to see Tom Brady go down. When you start having a level of success, people root against you. I think everybody was rooting for the Rams for the most part. And I tell you, Matthew Stafford looked good enough to me on Sunday to be a champion. He really did, because that's not an easy game. Now, in Brady's defense, he was down like 5 receivers. Like the second string guys were getting hurt. The third string guys were getting hurt. He was well down the receiver. He made an outstanding throw to Mike Evans, though, that to beat Jalen Ramsey. That actually, I think that's the one that cut the lead to 27-20. I think it was at that point. But Brady went down swinging. It was a heck of a game. It was a heck of a comeback. But I think the better team won the game. B-Live, agree with that?
Oh, 100%, because there's a reason why the game was 27-3 at one point.
Yes.
Because the Rams, that first half, completely dominated. It was, oh my God, fish in the barrel. Von Miller is still that dude.
Yep.
God, I can't stand him. God, I can't. I'm never going to lose, but I got to respect the man's game. Good Lord. He stayed in Tampa Bay's backfield. But the one part that I want to commemorate this by song. It was a 1980s, early 1980s hit by one Diana Ross. And the lyrics goes, I'm coming out. I want the world to know. Got to let it show. This was Matthew Stafford's coming out party. That dude is legit.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason why that game was close is because they let off the gas, both offensively and defensively. Give credit where credit is due to Tom Brady. But the Rams let off the gas. They were thoroughly dominating that game first and second half.
I don't think they left the gas. I just think they
just
turned the ball. Yeah, the fumble. Yeah,
there's a lot of fumble.
Sloppy.
Yeah.
It was I'm with Scottie D. I don't think they turned off the gas. It was just the Cam Akers fumble, the Cooper Kupp fumble. Because think about it, had those not happened, then the score would have been more than what it was. But you got to hold on to the ball. But go ahead, be like.
I think the defense was going to run out of gas. I think they were gassing because they were on the field the whole second half. Had that gone into overtime, Brady was at that point was starting to get a little bit more time in the pocket. He's starting to get a little, a little bit more time to throw, which I thought was incredible that he actually didn't come up. The play, they had a 4th and long right before Akers fumbled it back yet again on his second fumble, where you remember the play where he threw it down towards the goal line, and then the Rams defender got called for the late hit or for the unsportsmanlike, and it went over on downs anyway because it happened after the play was over. But I was expecting better from Brady at that point. It to me it just looked like one of those proverbial passing of the torch kind of games to me, where the better team from last year was not the better team this year.
I just, the game, the numbers, the score is not a direct reflection of the entire game. But the reason why I like to go against the grain was because of how close this game ended up being, like the Super Bowl against the Falcons, the Patriots versus the Falcons. I'm always going to mention it. March 28th, I'll be celebrating all over again. Never forget. But man, oh man, just the magnitude of this game was incredible. Matthew Stafford, my man, let me just throw these stats out real quick. 28 of 38, 366 yards, 2 touchdowns, and one of the most clutch throws I've ever seen him throw. That won the Cooper Cup with time remaining to get down to 4 seconds. I want to say 4 seconds because 4 seconds is very significant to this weekend. So, man, very significant. You can't write this script, by the way. Eddie Coolidge, let's keep it going, because I talk to me about this game. Let's get into the other games, because man,
all right,
what a weekend.
Yes, what a weekend. Well, fellas, I'm gonna call an audible right fast. We were gonna talk about the Bills and the Chiefs next, but we gonna save the best for last. So coming up, we got the Rams. We have the 49ers and the Packers. The San Francisco 49ers go in and handle business against the Green Bay Packers in cold, frigid Lambeau Field, and they win 13-0. Woo! Green Bay Packers, special teams.
13-10.
I'm sorry, my bad. It was 13-10, correction. 13-10. Fellas, can we agree that the special teams did the Green Bay Packers absolutely zero favors?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm going to flip it around. I'm going to say the special teams of the San Francisco 49ers did all the favors, because I'm just going to throw something out there. Jimmy G, 11 of 19 for 131 yards, no touchdowns, and 1 interception. I don't think Jimmy G's thrown a touchdown this entire playoff, has he?
No, not either game.
No. Not either game.
No.
So let's congratulate the San Francisco 49ers special team effort, because, man, blocked punt for a touchdown, blocked a field goal that could have changed it, man. Them boys they came to play.
Yep.
And I'm gonna throw this out here as well. The frozen tundra. This is Green Bay at home. How did Green Bay lose the rushing battle when they have Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon in the backfield going against Elijah Mitchell and Deebo Samuel on the other side? Is the swift and fast running backs in flavor and style right now? I would have thought it'd been just I would have just A.J. Dillon them to death, but that's just me. This big bruising.
I think he got hurt though. I think he was he got knocked out early.
Okay,
yeah, he got hurt.
So that does attribute to some of it, but yeah, Aaron Rodgers, he
wasn't good. He wasn't good.
And they're just outside of that one 75-yard throw to Aaron Jones. I mean, Devontae Adams did. Wow. Let me look at this again, because I just realized something. I'm just looking at my stats, and we rolling with it. Outside of Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams, he had 2 receptions outside of his number one receiver and his running back. He had one catch from Alan Lazard for 6 yards and one catch to Mercedes Lewis for 0 yards.
And I argue that was, I think, one of the biggest problems of the game. I felt like Aaron Rodgers was locking in on Davante Adams and nobody else. It felt like that I think was part of why he didn't play so well, is because it seemed like he was going to just ride with Davante, and that was it. And I mean, I know you just told me that each of those guys had one catch apiece, but I bet you they didn't have very many targets beyond that, because they weren't. Go ahead.
Yeah, outside of Aaron Jones and Davante Adams, Aaron Jones had 10 targets. Davante Adams had 11 targets. The rest of the team combined 6.
Well,
6 targets.
I think
different players.
Rodgers was limiting himself in that. He wasn't looking to get the ball to other guys. And I know that the weather had a lot to do with it, but the Packers scored seemingly very easily on the opening drive of the game before the stuff started coming down, before it started getting that bad snowy weather. They just didn't do anything with it up until that point either. And then I know they did. They actually, I think it was the drive that they kicked the field goal, the successful field goal attempt. To me, I thought they were about to put them away on that drive, and that drive I think was the one that they handed the ball off to Aaron Jones. He actually had like 4 or 5 carries in a row where they were just like taking chunks of yards up going down the field. But Aaron Rodgers didn't play well. Now, I know you can say the special teams let him down, but Aaron Rodgers' team scored 7 points in the first 5 minutes of the game and couldn't get to 14. And if you get to 14, you'd have won the game. 14 points. That's all you needed was one more touchdown out of your offense somewhere in 3.5 quarters, and you would have won that game, and they couldn't get it done. I
watched that first drive, and I thought it was already over. I did too. I was like, that was too easy. They just marched down the field, and with ease, I was like, and then San Francisco, their first drive, I think their first drive was a 3 and out. And I was like, oh, this is going to get ugly really quickly. And nope. You and I both picked the Packers in this game last week. This was the game I was the most sure of. We barely even talked about it when we made our picks last week. We both said take the Pack. Yep. You know, we're going to move on from that one because they were so. I mean, playing in Lambeau, that's what they wanted. That's what they fought all year to get to that position, to be in that home game, good or bad weather. They're at home. That's their advantage, and it was not an advantage at all. Defensively, they played well, but offensively, they played bad. Special teams played horribly, and you know, I would not have thought of all the teams that was going to get upset this weekend. That was the last one, and you know what? Daggone it, Aaron Rodgers fooled me again, because every year I think he's going to do it this year in the playoffs. He's going to do it. And last year he had home field advantage in the championship game, and Brady threw 3 interceptions, and he still lost. And it feels like it's always somebody else's fault. It's always somebody else's fault. They had not enough pieces around Aaron Rodgers. They're good enough to win 13 games in the regular season, but come playoff time, we just don't have the pieces. No support for Aaron Rodgers. No help. No. Yeah. I'm going to say this.
I think his QBR was like 19 or something. It was a terrible day for Aaron Rodgers.
Yep. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with that.
Yeah, I think when it comes to this whole Aaron Rodgers situation, it's at the point to where it's like San Francisco owns his ass in the playoffs. He is 0-4 against the San Francisco 49ers, be it at Lambeau or be it out there in San Francisco. And see, the thing is, I told somebody. Matter of fact, I think a few years ago? Yeah, a few years ago, when it was San Fran and KC in the Super Bowl, and I was in Wisconsin, Milwaukee. Somebody was like, "Who you think going to win? You think Green Bay is going to win or San Francisco?" I said, "Well, you're probably going to run me out of the state of Milwaukee, but I'm going to tell you like this: you shut down Davante Adams, the 49ers were going to win. What did they do? They limit Davante Adams, and the 49ers wound up winning." So, and then we got Robbie Gould. He hit the game-winning field goal, and he was talking straight cash money poo-poo about the Green Bay Packers. Love it. So we
Yeah.
get some. Yep. So you get some.
G has some
redemption.
choice words too. Has some choice words that we can't mention on the podcast unless we want the explicit rating that we got. I saw on Spotify for our episode 2 weeks ago. It said explicit. I was like, ha ha!
Yeah. The boys are cussing.
Let me put our only explicit one. But let me say this. Somebody said this, and I think both of you guys can appreciate this because the writing is now on the wall that Aaron Rodgers is to NFL football as Clayton Kershaw is to Major League Baseball.
He a bomb.
it's the writing is on the wall. Aaron Rodgers, you got one ring. That's bruh. For the amount of talent and everything, you a bad man. The postseason has not been your friend.
Nope.
Let me also give
He's
this
7-9 now in the postseason.
Give this opportunity to give a shout out to our very own Wrestle Bro, Big Kenny, to my man Marcus holding it down, Gravity Anderson, the Cheesecake Will Do, and to my very own, my pops, my dad, 3 of the biggest San Francisco 49er fans that I know. Scottie D, stop frowning because I know you and Kenny been going at.
No, we're not going. We have not been going at. He's a Cowboys fan that likes to act like he hates the Cowboys. He loves the Cowboys.
Oh boy, no! Let me stir the pot. I'm stirring.
He loves the Cowboys. He acts like he hates them, but he far more attention he pays to the Cowboys than he does to the 49ers.
Oh man, that is fighting words. I can't wait for him to hear
That's
this.
true. That's true.
Yep. My brother Everett, he was a 49ers fan. So the 49ers always hold a special spot in my heart. And also my brother Mike, down in Atlanta, Georgia, doing big things. He was also a 49ers fan as well, too. And then Horry County alone got all kind of 49er fans. I bet half of them ain't never been to California, don't even know how to get there, but that's neither here nor there. Fellas, over in the American Football Conference, we got that damn Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. They went into Tennessee and beat the Titans. I'm going to go ahead and say this right now. Cincinnati, quit playing and get Joe Burrow an offensive lineman or 2 or 3, because there is no way in hell that a quarterback is getting sacked 9 times and win. No, you did good by getting Jamar Chase. You did phenomenal. That damn Jamar Chase. But Cincinnati, hear me out. Go get him some protection up front. What say you, Scottie D?
That was the difference in the game. Well, I mean, it didn't translate, but I mean, that was what kept the game in the shape it was in. The fact that Cincinnati was the better team on that day, that they had the better quarterback on that day, because Tannehill's first pass of the first half, second half, and the final pass of the game for him all ended up in Bengals' hands. So he couldn't overcome his 3 turnovers, yet Burrow was able to overcome his 9 sacks, because when he got the ball back with just a few seconds left to play in the game, just outside of field goal range, despite being hit 9 times or leveled 9 times, officially sacked, he made the biggest throw of the game by stepping into a throw, winging down the sideline to Jamar Chase, hitting him on a beautiful pass, and that was close enough for their kicker to get in there and make the game-winning field goal. Yeah, they got to protect that kid, though. The Bengals have found themselves in the unique position of having no needs at skill player. They just need to protect this guy. They can draft best possible offensive lineman. I mean, that's their draft next year. And probably they might want to look at that in free agency too. I don't know who's going to be available in free agency, but yeah, they sure that lineup, man. This team's going to be a legitimate threat. I think that this is going to be the difference for them this week. I know they beat Kansas City at home a couple weeks ago. I don't think they're going to be able to do that playing against the Kansas City's pass rush this coming week. But you gotta love Joe Burrows. He just has that it factor. Be Live. He has like that little cockiness, not an arrogance, but a cockiness and a confidence, a little moxie, a little swag. That team believes.
Mhm.
Yeah, they believe in him, and he got it. I'll be damned if he didn't have 2 playoff games in a week in his second year in the league, which is more than Dak Prescott managed to get in 6 years with the Cowboys. So
Here we go.
Here we go.
let me put it to you this way. Let me first apologize. And the NFL also needs to apologize to me, but it's one and the same. Where I thought this would been the year that we'd had 2 number 1 seeds do their thing and both make it to the Super Bowl. But I really, honest to God, the things that I thought were going to be their strengths ended up being their weakness. Ryan Tannehill, he's a game manager. He's not a guy that could take over the game. He's a manager. And when he's when the chips are down, he's just not that guy. And at what point in time, Mike Vrabel, do you realize that as much as Derrick Henry is that dude, that he is actually detrimental to the flow of the game? Because you kept feeding him to the point of where he had 20 carries for 62 yards. He averaged a meager 3.1 yards a carry. His longest rushing attempt was 9 yards. That wasn't the formula. Mm-mm. You honestly, here's the thing. I mentioned this and nobody heard me. I said they should go in with a 3 running back tandem. Keep feeding all of them the ball. Throw Derrick Henry in there. Give him a taste of Deontay Foreman. And I can't remember other dude's name right now. I should have prepared it more. Because here's the thing. I actually thought that he got a carry. So I have the stats right here. He didn't even have a carry. So I don't even have his name up. So that's why I was not prepared. But it got him to the number 1 seed, and they just went with Derrick Henry. And then play action. Derrick Henry, play action. It worked a little bit. Derrick Henry, play action, interception. Oh, crap. Let's try it again. Derrick Henry, play action. Derrick Henry, slant. Derrick Henry, play action. Derrick Henry, interception. Got doggone it. See, it was.
Can I mention too, Be Live, that maybe had a factor in what I consider to be maybe the turning point of the game, which is when Tennessee scores a touchdown and then kicks the extra point, and there's a flag on Cincinnati because somehow they don't know who's on the extra point block team yet. They had 12 men on the field.
The best.
So they take the point off the. They take the point off the board and say, we're going to go for 2, and we're going to hand it to Derrick Henry, and he comes up short of the goal line. And I think that took a lot of wind out of Tennessee's sail. And at the end of the game, who knows how it might have played out differently if they're protecting a 17-16 lead instead of throwing the ball down the field and getting a ball picked off. We don't know how that would have been, how that could have changed the outcome of the game.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, analytics. Stop it. Stop it. I don't like that. I'm glad you reminded me of that, because I was going off. Analytics is going to be the death of NFL football. Stop it. Get the extra point. Why are we going for 2 to make it 8-6 as opposed to 7-6?
B&Q.
What good that do?
That do at Nathaniel, nothing, not a zip, nilch, nothing. And all it did was tie the game. And exactly to your point, Scott, a 17-16 game that changes everything, changes your entire offensive scheme. I can tell you right now, I wish I had that drive that ended up throwing that interception. If they were up by 1, guess what Cincinnati would have had to do? They'd had to use up all of their timeouts. But because the game was tied, they didn't have to use any of them. That changes the entire direction of the game.
Maybe they punted it deep, and then Cincinnati doesn't have enough time to get into field goal range. You don't know how that could have changed. That could have changed it.
Analytics. Oh, Eddy, cool. I don't even know what to do with this right now because we've had so much passion, so much drive about 3 games where all 3 of those games came down to a field goal away from home with 4 seconds to go. We didn't give ourselves enough time to really get into the game that everybody has called as the must-see game, the most exciting game this past week. So, Eddy, cool. You want to give us a little bit more time to get into it and dive into it, if you catch what I'm saying?
Yep, I sure will. I'll give you plenty of time. Be Live, you know what? You just requested some extra time. You know what? Because sometimes here at the Sports Bros podcast, we get so into these damn segments, they run a little bit long. And we got that version of Zoom where we got 40 minutes to say what you got to say. But sometimes 40 minutes just ain't enough because you know what? We were going to need more than 4 stinking minutes to talk about the game of the week and a possible game of the year candidate between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. This one goes to overtime and Kansas City wins in a back and forth slugfest thriller, 42-36 in overtime. Be Live. Just what you got to say.
Let's see. First thing I want to say to my boy Scottie D and to also Trey Dizzle, the Kansas City Chiefs got more done in 13 seconds than Dak and his quarterback run did in 14 seconds.
Oh.
You know how dumb that analogy is when one guy had 3 timeouts to get into field goal range and the other guy had no timeouts, had to get a touch. Stupid, but go ahead. I appreciate the joke though.
Oh God!
Oh man!
I can't believe you got roped in by that dumb Facebook joke. I can't believe you got roped
Oh God! I'm sorry. It was funny. It brought me comedic joy.
Not every joke is that funny.
Your reaction makes it all worth it. All worth it. Let's get down to it, man. Let me give props first. Good Lord. Josh Allen. He will be an MVP. Before it's all said and done, he will be a Super Bowl champion. But good Lord, it will happen eventually at some point in time. But man, oh man, just the defense was gayest. How many points combined? There was 25 points scored with less than 2 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. It was just ridiculous. With 13 seconds to go, Josh Allen, Gabriel Davis, that was the storybook ending. That was it. You're going to the AFC Championship. I done posted the picture on our Facebook page. Gabriel Davis, 8 receptions, 201 yards, 4 touchdowns. He was unstoppable. It was over. That was it. They're getting over the hump, and the man, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, this is it. Because everybody's saying the winner of this game is most likely going to win the Super Bowl. This was it. This was the game. And Patrick Mahomes had to remind us of who he is. And he said, hey, I got a dude on my side too by the name of Tyreek Hill. Good Lord. And I am anxious to hear what Scottie D has to say. That's my little bit and piece right there. I want to cede some time to Scottie D, but I also want to, at some point in time, we have to talk about the overtime rule. Scottie D, what you got to say about this game?
I can remember years ago watching Madison Bumgarner in the World Series. 2 years in a row. No, there's one between them, but in 2 consecutive World Series, and the guy was unhittable. And I couldn't figure out why he was just like a good to above average pitcher during the regular season. Some people are just meant for the postseason. I think Patrick Mahomes might be getting to the point that these January home games for all the marbles are ruining his appetite for football in September, October, November. He's great, but he's another level great when it comes to the postseason time. It's just you can't replicate postseason and the zone that you can get into and how you get locked in. And he was great, but Josh Allen was just as great, if not greater, on this night. It just so happened that he didn't get the ball last. And I thought he did. I thought 13 seconds should be enough time to not allow anything to happen. Now, I've heard it debated about whether the Bills should have squib kicked it or kicked it to, try to pop it up to someone. So many weird things can happen with the kickoff. And I think Tyreek Hill might have even been back to catch a kick inside in case they tried to kick it to him. I don't remember specifically, but I think that he was. And if he was back there, you don't want to kick it to him. So kicking it through the end zone and giving him the ball at the 25, I don't have a huge problem with that. I understand. I think maybe you squib it and you just hope that your kicker doesn't accidentally punch it out of bounds and then give them the ball at the 40. And then everyone would say, oh, you should have kicked it out of bounds or kicked it to the end zone. If the guy lets up and the ball ends up out of bounds, you give Mahomes the ball at the 40, then anyway, that didn't happen. They kicked it. The problem is, why do you give them half the field and protect the sidelines whenever they had 3 timeouts? They weren't trying to get the ball and get out of bounds. They were trying to eat up as much field as they can. And their 2 biggest weapons that you can't let them beat you. Beat them on those back-to-back plays. You got to get up and get – my theory is get up on Kelsey and Hill, put a guy up on them each, and just grab them. There's only 13 seconds left. Let's say after that first play, there's 8 seconds remaining. They're on their own, 45-yard line at that point. Mm-hmm. Why not just get up there and just grab and push and don't let these guys get off the line of scrimmage? Make Mahomes either have to go somewhere else or throw an incompletion and they call a 5-yard penalty, and then there's 2 seconds left. Now you either have to throw a Hail Mary or kick a 80-yard field goal. You just don't let the guys release. Grab them, hold them. Don't, if you get a penalty, so what? It's only 5 yards and a first down. Okay, good. You got it. Now let's see what you're going to do with 2 seconds left in the game. And you got 80 yards, 70 yards to get to conquer. The kickoff was not the issue. It was the way that they decided to play that defensively at the end there. And then going into overtime, the defense was completely gassed. They offered no resistance. If you watch how Kansas City went down the field, they were just taking chunks of yard with wide open players. I mean, they were just the defense had nothing to offer at that point. They completely sold out during regulation. And did the best team win here? Did the best quarterback win? Good question, but you can't argue against Kansas City because they're there now 4 years in a row in the championship game.
Man, I think the best quarterback did not win this game. I think Josh Allen showed all the way out. And I want to throw something. I'm going to research this a little bit later, but I think this is the first time this could have ever happened in the history of NFL or maybe just the playoffs, but where the quarterbacks from both teams led their respective teams in rushing yards as well. Josh Allen led the Buffalo Bills in rushing with 11 attempts for 68 yards, and Patrick Mahomes led his team with seven carries for 69 yards.
Most of which came on one big play. He had like a 50-yard run or something where he went up the middle, and
it was 34 yards, but it seemed like a very low.
Fair enough.
I know exactly what you're talking about though. Like he ran for days, and it's just good Lord, it's so much that went into this game. This is the only game out of the 4 games that did not end on a field goal, but all of them ended on walk-off fashion. That the last play of the game sealed the fate. And man, like Scottie D, like you said, the Bills defense, zero gas. They were completely gassed. And this is where it comes into play. Do you now really look at the fact of maybe we should give both teams a chance? Because I think Kansas City's defense, they would have been tired as well. Not as tired as the Bills, but they looked gassed on the in the fourth quarter. It's one of those things, man. For Josh Allen, 13 seconds to go, up by 3, 13 seconds to go, and doesn't get a chance to see the field again. God almighty. Just, that's heartbreaking. Eddy Cool, what you got? Talk to me.
All right, so it's my turn now. Okay, great. So here we go. So, of course, you know me. You know, I'm a sports writer and a color commentator. So blessed for both opportunities, by the way. Oh, I'm so blessed. Oh, I'm so grateful. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying. The overtime rule. It's not fair. It's not right. Don't do this. Don't do that. Oh, the game, they didn't have a chance. They have a chance. So you mean to tell me that people want this rule change for overtime? Or coin flip. If you win the coin flip, that means you win the game. I look at it like this. In the sport of football, there's 4 quarters. The first quarter, beginning of the first, all the way to the end of the fourth quarter, that's called regulation time, all right? It's called regulation time. Now, a lot can transpire in regulation time. Injuries, blown calls, fumbles, you name it, it can happen. So the general consensus, or should I say folks on social media, they want to say that the overtime rule should be changed. Okay. You remember this one game during the college football season between 2 Big Ten teams, between Indiana and Penn State, how they played not 1, not 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but 8 overtimes.
I think it was 9. I think it was 9, actually.
I thought it was 8. I think it's 8.
Okay.
It was 8. I looked up. It's 8.
Oh, okay.
So you mean to tell me that in the NFL playoffs, where it's do or die, no ties, you want to do 8 overtimes? First of all, who got that kind of time? Who got that kind of energy to sit there and watch a whole nother game being played? Because face it, that's what it was. I see it like this. It's the playoffs, do or die, everything on the line, milk or mildew, what you going to do? Do not change the overtime rule. You want to know why? Because, like I said, you got quarters 1 through 4 to take care of your business and do what you got to do. Like things happen. There's a lot of, controllable and uncontrollable variables. But if you do what you're supposed to do, you won't have to go to overtime. As far as I'm concerned, the rule should not be changed. It's the classic case of don't put yourself in that situation, because if you put yourself in this said situation, you know what the potential outcome could be. Play quarter 1, 2, 3, 4, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Change the rule. You know what? I bet the people that scream out change the rule, they probably had money on it. And if that's the case, I understand. But don't change the damn rule.
I think that the reason we're hearing so much about this is because I think most of the country was rooting for Buffalo, much the same way as, everybody who's rooting against Brady. By and large, people want to see the Rams win for the new blood. I think you had a lot of that with Buffalo. They were kind of the sentimental favorite. And had they gotten the ball first and beaten Kansas City in the same manner, I don't think would have had quite as many people pushing this discussion as had it gone the other way. That I kind of feel that way on it.
Here's what I have to say. I've been looking at this a bit. I understand the old school mentality. The reason why I've changed my mind. This is something that doesn't usually happen, so this is unprecedented. I have changed my mind. I have changed my stance on this. Professional football is the only sport where both teams don't have a chance to possess possess the ball, the puck, whatever you want to call it. It's the only one, and that's that. I like sudden death in hockey. Sudden death in hockey is great because I think both teams have a chance to possess the puck. You drop it in the middle, boom, 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 boom. Basketball, you get you chip, et cetera, et cetera. Overtime. And both teams have a chance to possess the ball. Baseball goes into extra innings. The away team gets a chance, home team gets a chance. Every sport except for professional football gives both teams a chance to possess the ball. And the reason why it would have came more into play this game right here was for the exact reason we spoke of earlier, is that the defense for Buffalo was fatigued and the game was literally decided by a coin flip. I heard this on Speak for Yourself earlier today, and Manuel Acho made a very, very good point. When it comes to professional sports, and especially when it comes to professional football, a lot of it is based on parity. You're the worst team in the league, you get the best draft pick. Just different things go into parity. He said it best.
Mm-hmm.
This is the only part of the game where there's no parity. Coin flip, this team gets the ball, and if you can't stop them from scoring a touchdown, which a lot of times is the case, then you're telling me that you deserve to lose the game after actually being up for 59 minutes and 47 seconds. Buffalo was the better team, and they lost to a coin flip. I think the rules should be reevaluated. Do I want 9 overtimes? It was actually Illinois and Penn State.
I'm sorry, I don't know where Indiana came from. Yeah,
yeah, but I just did some quick research and everything. But I knew what you were getting at. Nobody wants to see a 9 overtime game. The 4 overtimes for Alabama Auburn were a bit much. It was exciting, but it's a lot. I don't want to see that. I want to see an extra period, 10 minutes, where who scores the most points wins the game. And if it ends up in it, and then you could throw in some extra rules where you can't kick extra points. You can only go for 2 and stuff like that, to where after 10 minutes you have a decisive winner. And if it ties up again, it's not going to tie up that many times when you do it that way. The whole 4 downs, one possession that college does you're going to have a lot of games like that. But if you have to march all the way down the field and then stop the other team from marching all the way down the field, if that's going to really give you that parity of who is the best team.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's I think that's why it should be. I don't want it to be college football. I really don't want that rule in professional football. But there should be some things that you should be able to get the ball at least one time. I think it should be.
I'm going to agree with you on that. I like the college football overtime rule to be unique to college football. I think I don't want to see that same style used professionally. When they first changed this rule, they made it so if you kick a field goal, it doesn't mean it's over. The other team then gets to possess the ball. Why is that different than with a touchdown? Why is it if I kick a field goal, you also get it, but if I score a touchdown, you don't get it? To me, if you really stop and think about that, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I kind of would like to see him do it. So if the Chiefs scored a touchdown like they did on Sunday, Buffalo gets the ball back. If they match it, then they would have to go for 2. I think that would be a caveat you could add. If you can get in the end zone, we're not going to continue on with more overtimes. You have to go for 2, and then it's going to be win or lose from there. I wouldn't mind seeing your style either be live at the end of 10 minutes, but then if you get to that point, then you could also be facing, well, let's kick a field goal to get to a second overtime. You'd be extending the game, I think, a little bit more in that manner, where you'd still have somewhat of a sudden death style if the team that matched the touchdown had to go for 2 in order to tie or win the game. But I do think that it's something that should be looked at for the reasons that you said. The other sports you both get. I mean, if you score 5 runs in the top of the 17th inning, the other team's still going to get the chance to bat in the bottom of the 17th inning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like like I said in basketball, it's not first basket wins. It's let's play out five minutes. So I think it's something to consider. I think they really should think about it either way. I thought it before, but I think it's at this point it's getting a lot more attention because it's happened a few more times now. I mean, remember it happened with Tim Tebow.
Yeah,
and that's 10 years or so now that he gets to overtime and beats the Steelers with a slant pass to Demaryius Thomas, and the Steelers never got the ball in that playoff game. So yeah, it seemed to work for a while, and I did like the tweaking of it, that if you kicked a field goal, then the other team still got the ball, and then they had no choice but to score. But I'm not sure why that rule limits only to field goals and not to touchdowns. So, yeah, I mean, I think I understand what Eddy's saying too. You mean you have all game to put yourself in a position to avoid that, but sometimes it just happens. It just goes that way.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and then again, I'm a realist. Like, hey, things happen, as well. Like, things happen. Just like life, things happen. All right, folks, we got the conference championships on Sunday. We got the Rams and the 49ers and the Bengals at Kansas City. Be live. Who you got?
God almighty. This is going to be tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be tough. When I tell you, you got the hot team that's away versus the better team that's home. Like, in both situations, the away team is the hotter team. But the better team, of course, is home. And it's been shown that the Rams, on paper, are better than the 49ers. The Kansas City Chiefs, on paper, are better than the Cincinnati Bengals. But, man, this is where all that paper and all that analytics can be thrown out the window, because I'm telling you, you're gonna get next level play with this conference championship. At the end of the day, Bengals versus Rams in the Super Bowl.
Ooh, Bengals, Rams in the Super Bowl. Scottie D. Go ahead. What'd you say, Be Live?
I was just gonna say that Joe Burrow swag. It started when I wanted to punch him in the throat when he was smoking a cigar at LSU. All roads lead to Dabo. But yeah, the swagger and the teams behind it. You know what that swagger reminds me of? And I know I'm taking too long. It reminds me of my Carolina Panthers in 2015.
Yeah.
They've got that swagger that the team rallies behind. It just makes, when a team is cohesive like that, just all across the board, it's just, the chemistry that they have is unmatched right now.
Hard to beat. They're a real hard to beat team, man. All right, so Be Live. That's who you got. Scottie D, what say you?
I think the Bengals are a year early, and I think the offensive line thing is going to be a problem for them on the road. I think Buffalo is the biggest challenge for Kansas City to get back to the Super Bowl, and they've accomplished that hurdle. I think Kansas City wins, and I think it's asking a lot for San Francisco to beat the Rams 3 times in one season. They came back from 17-0 against them a few weeks ago, and the Rams almost blew yet another lead this past week. I don't think they're going to let that happen at home. They're too close to their goal. Mm-hmm. They're too close with the guy that I believe to be is the best coach in the NFL to be at home again. And if you win, you stay home and play the Super Bowl at home. I think the Rams found their groove this past week. I can't imagine them fumbling 4 times again if they get a lead. I think they have the superior quarterback, and that's going to be the difference. I'm taking Stafford over Jimmy G. I'm taking Rams and Chiefs. By the way, that was my preseason pick, and I put money on it. So if that one comes through, I'm gonna hit for a couple $100 here. So I'm actually I'm pulling for it in a big way.
Yep. So that leaves me, Joe Burrow and that damn Jamar Chase. But I'm going to have to say the AFC Championship game, experience is going to win on this one. And if Kansas City can find a way to get through the that beleaguered Bengals offensive line, they'll do it. They'll do it. They'll find a way. They'll do it. And they'll do it. They'll probably give him a baker's dozen since Tennessee only gave him 9. So I'm going to say, but the winner of that game, Kansas City, is going to win that one. And then in the NFC, Rams. So I'm saying Rams and the Chiefs. Rams and the Chiefs with Kansas City winning it all again.
If I'm going to say this because I want to definitely give credit to where credit is due. And unlike JR begging for us to give the Eagles respect, I said what I said. I'm giving San Francisco respect. And just to throw a little tidbit out there, because you mentioned how San Francisco has beaten Green Bay in the playoffs the past 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
San Francisco also has a 6-game winning streak against the Rams. So the 49ers have been a thorn in the Rams side. So it's not a walk. It's not a you can just walk away and let it be. The Rams better come to play. You bet to hold on to the ball. Because I guarantee you, Joey Bosa will be involved. It's Nick.
Nick Bosa.
Nick is on the 49ers. Nick Bosa.
Mm.
I'm telling you, they were coming after that ball. They're gonna give the Rams some trouble. I think the Rams are the better team, but it would not surprise me if they made it number 7. You know, just like the Clemson Tigers have beaten the Gamecocks 7 times in a row.
All right, moving right. All right, that is it for the NFL divisional playoffs and a preview of next week's championship weekend. Moving right along to UFC 270. Fellas, I'm going to go ahead and let y'all talk about it because I ain't going to lie to you. I had a big day Saturday and I fell asleep. Scottie D, give us all the happenings in the world of the UFC.
Well, the big one was the heavyweight championship. This is the first time we've seen Francis Ngannou since he won the title last year in I think it was April, May, whenever it was. He beat Stipe Miocic early last year, and then had a little spat with Dana White about defending the title. So he went and had an interim championship with Cyril Gane and Derek Lewis, and Cyril Gane came into this fight as the interim champion. And I predicted that I thought that this fight was going to be a boring fight because I thought Cyril Gane was going to stay away from Ngannou's power. I thought he was going to pepper him with leg kicks and jabs and try to make him chase him down a little bit and wear him down and beat him with fatigue in the later rounds. And the first 2 rounds seemed to be going pretty much how I thought it was going to go. And into the 3rd round, that even started that way. And then the weirdest thing happened, and Ngannou's game plan changed on a fluke. And that's because Gane threw a high leg kick, and Ngannou caught his leg, took him down, and discovered that Cyril Gane had nothing for him on the ground. And then Ngannou rode him out. Came out in the 4th round, same thing, took him down, rode him out on the ground. Never really did any damage to him, but just controlled the fight on top of him. And then in the final round, Gane wisely took him down, but then couldn't hold it. And then Ngannou reversed it and maintained top control. And he won a fight. A guy with thunder in his hands won a fight by wrestling. Did not expect it to go that way, but much credit to Francis Ngannou and his team for working on things that he would not have been capable of doing a few years ago. So it wasn't the most exciting fight, but it was, to me, very interesting. And I was very impressed with the way that Ngannou won that fight. What'd you say, Bay Live?
You beat me to the punch because I happened to see that it was. I'm a different type of UFC fighter. I like knockouts. I'm not big on technical fighting, the jujitsus of the world and all this, but I happened to watch that and I was like, oh, aha, he may have found something. And so that was exactly how Scott described it. It was a beautiful thing to watch. But the biggest thing about this fight was not the fight itself, is Scottie D. Because guess who wasn't at the end of the fight? Guess who did not put the belt on the champion? Guess who wasn't at the post-fight press conference?
UFC
president, Dana White. There is something going on in the world because Dana White has always prided himself on putting the belt on each and every champion. Something is in the water between him and Francis Ngannou.
Well,
and
it became what irked Dana White was he wanted to have a heavyweight fight. I believe he wanted to do it in August. And after winning the championship, Ngannou he went down to, where's he from?
Morocco?
Yeah, I think that's where he went and spent some time there. And he wanted one more month to get ready for the next fight. And Dana White had already planned, he wanted a UFC fight. And there became some tension between Ngannou's team. It was really like the guys on this team, and they had like a lot of bad blood between Ngannou's management team and Dana White. And so Dana White then went and had this interim championship, which I thought we even talked about on the show before. I thought was a premature thing to do because, other fighters, other champions have had longer times in between fights, in between defenses than this one. And he jumped the gun on it. It was almost like he was trying to make a point that, I'm the boss here and this is what I wanted. And if you want to not fight, then don't fight. I'll get another champion. And then when you're ready, then you fight this champion. And that's the way it played out. And it seemed like Ngannou's, him and it, probably loyal to his team, didn't take too kindly to that. Not only that, but Ngannou is also, he said it in his post-match interview that he's interested in actually boxing, not just being a UFC fighter. He has other interests. And, these guys wear Dana White out with this extracurricular stuff. He even said last week, he wants to fight him because there's not enough guys for them to fight. These boxers don't have enough people to fight. So they're looking over here to do this stuff. But I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're over here looking at Jake Paul making $50 million in a fight. They're like,
yeah.
Yeah, making a bunch of damn money. And I would have questions too. He's from Cameroon. Francis Ngannou is from Cameroon.
Gotcha.
I don't know when we're going to see him again anyway, though, because he said that he fought that fight with a torn ACL and MCL. So he fought that fight with two bad knees. His knees were wrapped up.
You know what? That is right. You were right about that. They made a point that was like, why is Gon not going after the wrapped up knees of Ngannou? Right. They're clear target. Leg kick after out of leg kick the sweep the leg.
Yeah.
Cobra Kai season 4 on Netflix is off the chain, by the way. It's dumb, but it's cool.
Have surgery to fix the knee. We're looking at like November before he'd be back fighting again. So there's a chance we're gonna have another interim heavyweight championship again. Anyhow, I mean, clearly the big fight at this point that everybody would want to see would be Ngannou against John Jones, who's been promising to fight heavyweight for about 3 years now, and we haven't seen him fight at all. That would be the blockbuster.
And that is Dana White's nightmare, by the way.
Yeah.
That's Dana White's nightmare for that fight. Yeah. He does not want to see that. He did not want to see Ngannou to win this fight. He got exactly what he asked for. He was like, oh, I got an interim champion. And since you didn't want to be there, all right, I got a new champion. But, this is the fight that the people want to see to unify the belts. And the guy that is better won with wrapped up bad knees. Yeah. The opportunity is there. And it is what it is. I'm still waiting on Dana White to really come out of the shadows and talk about it. So we shall see.
They're probably going to have an interim championship in the next few months, and it might be Cyril Gane again, and maybe they'll put him in there with Stipe Miocic to see who the interim heavyweight championship is going to be until Ngannou comes back, or Ngannou might walk away from the UFC altogether. I don't know if John Jones would want to fight one of these other guys because he wants the blockbuster fight with Ngannou. It's going to be interesting to see how this heavyweight thing plays out over the next couple months in the UFC. But the co-main event was every bit of exciting. The featherweight championship between Davison Figueiredo and Brandon, and this is like these kind of guys could fight every weekend and have a different outcome. They could take turns winning over and over. I mean, you just don't know. But I thought the right decision happened in that fight, and Figueiredo got a decision.
Yeah. So
That he did. So yeah, with that being said, coming up next, we will have Israel Adesanya, the style bender, versus Whitaker. Ever since
Is Adesanya dropping weight? Is he coming back to his, or is he staying at light heavyweight?
I think he stayed at 185, if I'm not mistaken. And
Okay.
the thing, ever since Adesanya took that loss, man, we haven't really heard much from him.
Well, and that was what I was going to ask about that. And also going to piggyback on Scottie D about the Figueiredo Moreno fight. They're already talking about They're already talking about a fourth match.
Ooh,
they're already talking about a fourth match because that match was to the wire. It was too close for comfort. It was unanimous 48-47, but it was a very, very good match to watch. And so I'm looking forward to number 4. I'm looking forward to that. The people want it. I want it. Let's get it. Let's go. So when is 270? Was it 271?
Yeah, 271 is going to be in February. I think it's February. I forgot the date. I want to say the 2nd, but as we say back home, be like, don't give me the line. Let's see. It's going to be it's going to be sometime in February. So yeah, man. UFC, man, we got a lot of action going on. A lot of action going on.
Oh yeah, they said they're gonna pick up right. They're gonna catch right before the Super Bowl. Is February 12th.
Oh, 12th?
February 12th.
Damn, it's gonna be hard. I tell you what, man. First of all, the NFL. I understand you. Well, back to football real quick. You play a bunch of games, play 18 games or whatever, and I get it. The benefits of that is, players has been injured. They come back for that playoff push and everything's good, fine, and dandy. But now it's at the point where this is bleeding over into Valentine's Day, Valentine's weekend. Unless you're an understanding spouse or partner or whatever, it's going to be I'll tell you what, B-Lop, it's a lot of relationships going to end on Super Bowl Sunday.
Right.
Yeah. It's just,
I look at it this way: if the relationship was meant to be, the relationship was supposed to be the way it's supposed to be, you shouldn't be celebrating Valentine's Day that much anyway. You'd be celebrating it all year long.
All year long.
But that's neither here nor there. It's going to happen. The Valentine's Day weekend is going to be a hot mess for them new couples.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you right now, I'm glad right now that I am single and I'm ready to mingle. And Saturday, UFC, Sunday, Super Bowl, Monday, I'm gonna be somewhere drinking.
Yeah. But be live. Guess what time it is?
What's going on? What's happening? What's going on? Huh?
Oh, I'm glad you've inquired. It is time once again for our favorite portion of the show, the choices of the voices. And with that being said, hey, yo, button, hit it. Choices of the voices coming up next.
And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
Once again, thank you to the wonderful and ever so loving Ms. Button for introducing our favorite portion of the show. You heard the woman. It is the choices of the voices, where we ask you, the listener and the viewer, the question. You give us the answer, and then we talk about it right here on the Sports Bros podcast in our very own segment, the choices of the voices. With that being said, Scottie D, what's on tap this week for the choices of the voices?
Well, we asked if you could be an NFL head coach, what of these open jobs would most appeal to you? Where would you most like to go of all the current jobs that are open in the NFL? And it could be more coming, but seems like we may have maxed it out at this point. Eddy, cool. What did the people say?
All right. And I got some news later on about some coaching vacancies possibly being filled. But as of right now, we can hop into the choices of the voices. All right. JR, he said, I would say the Vikings. They have a solid defense and a stud at wide receiver and a very solid running game. They just need to upgrade at quarterback. And he said, I would trade for, this should make B-Live smile, Deshaun Watson, or draft the quarterback from Pittsburgh, Kenny Pitt. Let him learn from Kirk Cousins and let him start in year 2. So JR has a whole plan. The Vikings job.
Can I tell you that the Vikings job is starting to sound kind of good?
Yeah.
Because the Bears don't look so hot. The Lions don't look so hot. And if Aaron Rodgers retires, all of a sudden that division's wide open.
Yep.
I like the way you think there. I'm JR 2 weeks in a row. I'm with some good answers. Maybe you've learned your lesson.
You stupid.
You doing all right. I'll give you credit. That was a good answer. Deshaun Watson needs to be somewhere starting. They need to just let this all mess go because, as you've noticed, we've heard nothing about this story, which means one or two things: that it shouldn't have been a story to start with, or the man. Come on, y'all. Yeah, he should be starting somewhere.
Or somebody got paid off. Either one of the two possibilities.
That's all.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. All right. Ryan Robelski, he says, any warm weather team. My reasoning is that the cold weather sucks. The pay will be about the same anywhere you coach.
True.
So he just want to get somewhere where it ain't cold all the damn time. So I fully understand that. All right, Hot Rod, Rodney O'Neal Beltney, he says, gotta be those Dolphins, baby. No state tax in Florida. I'm not 100% sold on Tua, but you're inheriting a very good defense, most cap space in the league, and you're a couple of last-second field goals and a blown pass interference call away from a 12-win team. I know every team has that. I know every team has their what ifs. Yeah, that's true. And the thing about that Miami job, man, that's a very appealing job, man, because upside, nothing but upside there in South Florida. All right. We got Trey Dizzle. Trey Dizzle said, here we go. I'll coach a high school team and wait for a real job to open up, like Dak Prescott's unemployment caseworker or Mike McCarthy's DoorDash delivery driver. I'd make way more money, and the job security is going to be a lot more solid.
Good God. Dak Prescott's unemployment. Dak Prescott, no matter how mediocre you think he is, he's still one of the best 32 quarterbacks in the league. At least it's definitely top 15. He's going to have a job. Don't worry. You still got 3 years remaining of that 4-year, $160 million contract with $127 million guaranteed. And just think of it this way: at least the $75 million of it is already gone. That check has been cashed. It is what it is.
Yeah, at this point. Yeah.
And that paid for exactly 0 playoff wins this year.
All right, next up is the Hall of Famer himself, Uncle Max. He's doing good. Both his teams lost in such a short amount of time between Alabama and Green Bay. So I think he'll be A-okay just fine, all right? He says, I think it would be pretty nice to live and coach in Denver. They have a good defense, some pretty good playmakers on offense, get a good quarterback, and you have a quality team that can make some noise with one of the best home field advantages in the NFL. So that's one for the Denver Broncos we got there from Uncle Max.
And another one right behind it saying the same thing.
Yep. Speaking of that, Ryan Bitts, he said Denver, they just need a quarterback. Yeah, and the thing about it was Denver's defense was pretty middle of the pack this year, which wasn't bad, despite they had issues at quarterback. They just had issues at quarterback. But once
badly.
Yeah, but I think once they fixed that Drew Lock, he just ain't it. So somebody has to figure something out and make something happen soon. Scottie D, who knows? That could be where Kenny Pickett goes. I'm just saying, just throwing that out there.
Yeah, never know.
Yep, just throwing that out there. So shout out to JR, Ryan, Rodney, Trey Dizzle, Uncle Max, and Ryan Bitts for their participation in this week's choices of the voices. All right, Be Live. What say you? Which job is the most appealing to you?
I am highly disappointed in our listeners, the voices this week, because I cannot believe the most highly sought out job has to be easily Viva Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they still haven't sold on it. I'm like, please send me to Vegas, baby. Are you kidding me? oh my goodness, that stadium, the facilities, all of the above, and the team that you have, man, like they have a team already that can make a push. They just went through turmoil to get there. And just, I mean, you like, and on top of that, you give me the chance to coach Hunter Renfro. Yeah, and a few other my boys from the Clemson Tigers, you know what I'm saying? All roads lead to Dabo. Dabo, please don't leave Clemson and go to Las Vegas, by the way. Please just stay where you at, by the way. But me, Vegas, baby. I mean, the temperature's nice.
Mm-hmm.
The atmosphere that you can, the fans are clearly behind the team. They love them some Raiders in Las Vegas. I was and the fact that you still got Oakland faithful that'll make that trip to go to those games too. There's passion in those stands in Las Vegas. I give them a year, maybe two at most, where they'll be serious contenders. And I still don't understand why they haven't offered. They haven't taken the interim tag off of the coach that they have, because he's done a phenomenal job of that team. But until they take the interim tag off of it, they have a job vacancy, and that's where I would be at. Viva Las Vegas all day, every day. Now I love the listeners. I was kidding. But come on, nobody said Vegas. That's me all day. Yes, sir.
Rich Bisaccia went 7-5 after John Gruden got fired, and then they went to the playoffs. If I'm the Raiders, what you need is right there in front of your face. And then after the loss to the Bengals, he went to the hotel and wrote the players each a handwritten letter. I'm giving him the job off the strength of that.
Hey, I ain't writing. I ain't doing all that writing. I got I got this little bit of technology I got. There you go.
Yeah,
I may type out a letter to each one of them. That may be something I would do, because it does take a serious commitment level to be a NFL head coach.
Yeah.
That's definitely inspiring. The players definitely rallied around him.
Yeah,
and so that is definitely something to say. The talent's there, and Derek Carr is very underrated.
Yeah,
very underrated. I would love to coach him. And Hunter Renfro is going to be a top 5 wide receiver. He's going to be that Julian Edelman. He's going to be that dude. No. I can see him putting up some Cooper Kupp numbers at some point in time in his career.
Yeah,
I could, maybe not as high as he did this year. That's tough for any wide receiver. But I could see him being a primary wide receiver. I could see him being your WR1, as they call it.
Yep. All right, Scottie D, coaching job. Which one would you want and why?
Well, two problems with Vegas: Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. That would kind of chase up that division.
Yeah.
If you look at, I was thinking Miami was going to be my answer, and then I saw a story last night or this morning where one of the defensive players in Miami said, if Tua's going to be our quarterback, you're going to be wasting a big chunk of my career. Oh, and I don't want to be in there. So, so there's starting to be some behind the scenes cracks in Miami when it comes to that situation. And if you look at almost all these others, what did we see in Denver? What we see in Minnesota? If they had a quarterback, they need a quarterback.
Yeah.
Well, the team that doesn't need a quarterback is Jacksonville, and they are the team that has no pressure on them. If you take that job, you're in Florida. You got you're gonna have high draft picks again. You have an opportunity to kind of build around the franchise quarterback, because that franchise quarterback's not coming out in this year's draft. There's not a clear-cut top quarterback coming out to help you out. All roads lead to Dabo. There's not a top guy going to be coming out of the year. He came out last year, and he had a rough year, and part of that was because he had a lousy head coach. But if I had a chance to go coach him up, and ATN will be back off of his injury, and you're going to be you'll be drafting high again because you were lousy again. I don't know. Jacksonville starting does not sound too bad to me. What do you say, Eddie? Cool.
I mean, the thing about Jacksonville, they just have to. They just got to figure something out.
4 games next year, you've improved. I mean, there's not a lot of pressure to be really good, really fast in Jacksonville.
Yep. I think whoever is the coach is going to have to be like you're going to have to give this new coach some time, not just 1 season, not 2 seasons, probably about 3.5 seasons. You're going to have to give them about 3.5 seasons. But I would have to say that Miami job, man. I would have to say that Miami job, you're going to have to figure out something with Tua, because, I think that was one of the reasons where Brian Flores caught a lot of hell was his handling of Tua. But the thing about, but I'm looking at last year. I'm like, okay, well, they won 10 games last year, and then they started off 1-7 this year, and then went on an absolute tear towards the end of the regular season, but they came up short. But I think once you get a coach, I think you have to get a coach that can get the best out of Tua. Tua has some familiarity with Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle is the truth. That's the other wide receiver that no one else was talking about this past season because of that damn Jamar Chase. And I just think that the defense is good. As long as they figure out something at running back, solid at running back, and solid at quarterback, it'll be pretty good, because I think they had Duke Johnson towards the end of the season, and Duke Johnson looked like 100-yard a game rusher, and I was like, oh, this the Duke Johnson that played in Cleveland and then played in Houston. But I was like, I don't know. So that Miami job is looking pretty damn good. What say you, Be Live?
See, Miami, the only reason why I wouldn't take that job is 10 wins, 9 wins out of a job. Whoa. You ain't gonna put that pressure. You ain't gonna put that pressure on me.
Yep. You said
like, that means pressure. Yeah, I'm like, I gotta come off rip and take you to the playoffs. That's where like Vegas, yes, I would have to make the playoffs for it to be satisfactory because of the talent that's on the field. Miami, though, I just, yeah. And Florida man is just a whole different breed. Florida just is appealing that it might be. There's just something else down in Florida. And Jacksonville, I like that argument that Scottie D made. I do like that. They have talent. They just him that shall not be named.
The kicker of Lambos. We're not talking about cars.
God, unbelievable. But yeah, I can see Jacksonville, so I can see that, and I would definitely, if I was the head coach of Jacksonville, I would definitely seek out a good quarterbacks coach, good OC that could definitely develop Trevor Lawrence, because he has the ability. He just did not have the leadership and have that mentor. Because I'm gonna tell you this, as a diehard Clemson fan, that doesn't necessarily equate to Trevor Lawrence getting those skills that are required to be successful in the pro game. It's his raw talent is almost second to none, but the play that it needs to be developed. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. 50-50 balls don't work in the NFL.
No,
he had a stout wide receiver core that that sort of he didn't have to really develop a route tree per se. That's the one thing that I think that's his biggest weakness. He doesn't have the route tree that would be successful in the NFL, going from first progression, second progression, third progression, boom, boom, hitting those underneath throws and stuff like that. So, but he'll be fine. He'll be fine if Shad Khan makes the right decisions and they get a good coach. He'll be fine.
Yep. Scottie D, did you already give us your pick? You said Jacksonville, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Scottie D said Jacksonville. I say Miami, and B Live, you also say Jacksonville too.
I said Vegas.
I'm sorry, Vegas. My bad. All right. He said Vegas. With that being said, that wraps up another edition of the Choices of the Voices. But before we go, Scottie D, what's on tap next week for Choices of the Voices?
Well, there was actually a couple topics I wanted to talk about today. We didn't get to it. I'm going to wrap it into this next week. With all the football talk, we were so deep into all the playoffs and stuff. And I'm going to ask the question next week to our listeners: who is more likely to play for the same or to go back to his team next year? Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, both or neither? And we'll get into that. Just would have extended our show too much this week to go on into all that. But next week we'll talk about that. Who is more likely to be back next year with the same team? Rodgers with the Pack, Brady with the Bucks. Both of them guys or neither of those guys. And that'll give us something to talk about next week, Eddie. Cool.
Yep. That yeah.
Freaking argument.
If we would have talked about that, that would have been like our very first episode all over again, what was damn near 2 hours. But ever since then, we've learned 141 episodes later, we finally got it together. That being said, it's been another version of the Choices of the Voices. See ya next week.
Okay, boys, let's bring it home with a round of pepper.
Well, you heard the woman. It's time for us to go home and get what I call the hell up out of here. With that being said, we're going to do a round of pepper. You heard it. 3 topics, rapid fire style, kind of sort of not really here to engage, enlighten, and entertain. And with that being said, I'll go first. On this day in history, back in 1988, Super Bowl 32, the Denver Broncos beat the Green Bay Packers 31-24, and Terrell Davis was named the Super Bowl MVP. He had 30 carries, 157 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And John Elway, he had a bad game. I think he only threw for like 128 yards and an interception. But when you got that defense and that running game, yeah, you really got much to worry about. So, this is a time in the world where they play the Super Bowl in January, not the weekend of Valentine's Day. Over to you, Scottie D.
Mr. Jerry Jones, I want to fight you. More infuriating than watching the Cowboys fail to advance to the NFC Championship for the first time since Bill Clinton was president is having to listen to Jerry Jones talk tough. Last week, following Mike McCarthy's press conference, which he said they was going to go into the offseason and fix the penalties, that was going to be their focus, Jerry Jones says, that's the kind of thing I expect to be fixed after the first game or the 6th game, not when we don't have any season left. And he says, I have to think about my coaches and blah, blah, blah. And Jerry, you're going to do nothing. You were just going to talk. You know what, Jerry? Don't do better. Do less. How many other owners do you hear have their own strategy and injury reports? How many these other owners are surrounded by cameras and microphones after the game? None of them are. Do less. You know what? I don't need you to direct the movie and produce the movie and act in the movie. Just fund the movie. Sit your butt down and grab a bucket of popcorn and maybe somebody will bring you an Oscar. I want to fight you, Jerry Jones. Be live. Over to you.
Oh boy.
50 cups. You heard?
Ooh, yeah. You heard? Turn my headphone. So he says Jerry Jones is the Tyler Perry of the NFL. All right.
Oh, wow.
Please, Jerry Jones, don't be cross-dressing. Anyway, I said what I said. All right.
Boy.
So my first pepper point today, actually, because I actually got a chance to do a little research in between our segments, I found some information about the UFC. I got some juiciness.
Uh-oh, what'd you get?
Come to find out that before Francis Ngannou headed towards the pay-per-view, the UFC threatened to sue his agent.
Mm-hmm.
His agent, they accused him of being in contact and talks with one Nakisa Badarian, which would be the business partner of Jake Paul. Come to find out that Badarian is the former UFC chief financial officer and he's the current advisor to Jake Paul, the co-founder of Paul's most valuable promotions company. So a former UFC CFO is Jake Paul's business advisor. Wow, you cannot write this script. I see why Dana White does not like Jake Paul. And now Fred Saganu's talking to Fred Saganu's like, who is this? I don't know him or whatever. But there is so much more to the story. I'm just throwing a little pepper on it because this is about to get hot. Eddy Cool, the ball.
Yeah, you got that hot part right. It's fitting to be a absolute hot mess. All right. So, being a sports writer and a color commentator, Twitter is pretty crucial into what I do. Now, there was a point in time where I was going to be like, I don't like Twitter. I don't understand it. I'm going to keep it for the young kids. All right. So it's a young man's game. Y'all can have it. All right. So you're probably asking Eddy Cool, why you're talking about Twitter? I'll tell you why I'm talking about Twitter. There's two sides of Twitter. All right. People that use it for good and then people that just do stuff. We're going to talk about a current player and a former player, right? The first player is Joe Hayden, defensive back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he realizes that there is a problem in the National Football League where players like to drink and drive and do crazy things. See Henry Ruggs, all right? So Joe Hayden took it upon himself. So Joe Hayden used Twitter for the right reasons. And he said that to my NFL players just getting into the offseason, please be smart, get a driver or car service. One night can change your life. All right. And I want to say shout out to Joe Hayden for realizing, hey, there's an issue going on and we have enough money as to where we can either pay somebody to come get us, get an Uber. You don't do silly things like Henry Ruggs and anybody else has been drunk driving behind the wheel and high profile athlete, because as Henry Ruggs, one bad mistake will mess your whole life up. All right. And then on the other side of Twitter, we have Hall of Famer Dick Butkus of the Chicago Bears, right? So he's been fighting to get verified on Twitter to get his blue check. And guess what? He has a blue check. And guess what? He decides he wants to start picking at Aaron Rodgers, all right? Yep. He goes straight for Aaron Rodgers. He's talking trash. And then he said, also, sorry to disappoint some of you Packers fans. Now that I'm trendy, and it's not because I'm dead. All right. Dick Butkus. Yeah. Dick Butkus with all the smoke. He also tweets, he said, now that I have a blue mark, I can keep people off the platform, right? You hear me, Aaron Rodgers? Smoke. Here it is. And he told one person, he was trapped in a teenage boy's body. All right. And then he told somebody else, hey, thanks for the invite to your podcast in your basement, whatever that means. Somebody come get Uncle Dick Butkus off of Twitter because he is running wild like Hulkamania back in 1985. Over to you, Scottie D.
All right, I don't like dirty players. So Grayson Allen, I want to fight you. Grayson Allen and the Milwaukee Bucks were taking on the Bulls last Friday night, and Alex Caruso goes up for a layup and pulled down, broken wrist, out 6 to 8 weeks.
Ooh.
Oh.
Barks a little bit. No apology, no try to help him up. Just a smirk, a double technical ejection, and a small fine and 1-game suspension. You know what this guy really needs is a code red. He needs to get in the locker room and have just the other players just beat him up, because I just want to smash your face, Grayson Allen. I want to fight you. That's all I have to say about you and your dirty play, you dirty player. You go ahead, be live.
I got you.
That's what that's JR's boy.
I know he's bigger than me, but I can beat him up.
He ain't bigger than me.
He ain't that big.
Man, Grayson, 6 to 8 weeks. I did not know that. I saw that play, but I did not know. Alex Caruso has been on the rise this year. He's been making an big impact.
Yeah.
Man, Grayson Allen, you're dead to me, bro. This is just it's too often, too much, bro.
Dirt.
He should be kicked out. He should be kicked out of the league. I don't even understand how he got drafted because he was doing this stuff at Duke and it continued in the NBA.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, so I'm gonna have a list of people. I'm gonna bring out Chris Jericho. Don't sue me, but I'm gonna bring out a list of people that will not be mentioned on the. Grayson Allen, you just made the list, but please don't sue me. Please, I ain't got it. But my second pepper point, and this Eddy Cool is gonna hit home for you a little bit because I know you said that you've been struggling with a little itch and a scratch on the throat. For the rest of this season, when it comes to NCAA college basketball, we will not have one of the most iconic voices of college basketball. Dick Vitale will not return to ESPN for the remainder of the season as he continues to rest his voice. And he is actually going to be going into surgery to treat dysplasia and ulcerated lesions of his vocal cords.
All that damn screaming and hollering.
So it's one of those things where, yeah, it does take a toll. And he's always had that raspiness about his voice. But man, to not have Dickie V, to not be able to hear him for the remainder of the season, that is a big blow to us avid college basketball watchers. So, Dickie V, get better. And for all of those that are in the podcasting, commentating, analyst world, just take care of you and yours. And I need to do that. I need to do that myself. So I'm going to give me some throat lozenges and some other things. So with that being said, Dickie V, get better. We look forward to hearing you again in the 2022-2023 season. Eddy Cool, the ball.
Hot tea and honey after this, baby. Hot tea and honey after this, because I got a game tomorrow. That's right. All right, third and final pepper point. Earlier, we were talking about coaching vacancies in the NFL. So guess what? We have some finalists for 2 head coaching positions in the NFL, all right? Bucks offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich is one of 2 finalists for the Jags head coaching job. Now, you remember Byron Leftwich, he started his career with the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? And with that being said, the other finalists on that short list includes Matt Eberflus, or Eberflus, whatever his name is.
Eberflus.
Yeah, Eberflus, the defensive coordinator of the Indianapolis Colts. All right. This is not the first time Eberflus' name is being mentioned, because he is also a finalist for the Chicago Bears vacancy. But he has some competition, which includes Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn. He's going for his second interview. Jim Caldwell going for his second interview. The aforementioned Matt Eberflus, and defensive coordinator of the Saints, Dennis Allen. So the Jags are narrowing it down, and the Bears are trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Over to you, Scottie D.
Matt Eberflus was in Dallas coaching on the team.
Uh-oh.
Could have been. Could have been. Jerry Jones, I still want to fight you. So last week I tested positive for COVID last Tuesday. I missed work the rest of the week. And then this week I have to return. I have to wear a mask for a couple of days. And while I don't like wearing a mask, I'm doing it because it's the school's rules. John Stockton, I want to fight you because
I saw this.
You're going to the Gonzaga games and not wearing a mask. And all you had to do was just show up and comply. If you come to my house and ask you to take off your shoes, you take off your shoes. If you come to my golf course and you have to wear a shirt with a collar, you wear the collar. If you go to the Gonzaga game, you wear the mask. I don't care what your political stance is on it. They ask you to wear the mask, you wear the mask. Now you get your ticket revoked, and you deserve it. And because of that, you and Aaron Rodgers, you sit on the liar bench together, and I want to fight you. Be Live, over to you.
I've been immunized, vaccinated, immunized.
Oh man. Scottie D is in a fighting type of mood.
Fight them all.
Well, fellas, you know how I like to do things with my third and final pepper point, and I hope not to disappoint this week. And I was trying to keep this a secret, but Yeah, the cat's out of the bag. You've seen several pictures of disappointed Cowboys fans after their loss. One picture in particular is one guy with some really, really big ears, consoling his what it would seem to be is his significant other, whether it be girlfriend, wife. Well, according to another young lady on social media, this girl in the picture happens to be the side chick.
God, oh.
And he got called out for cheating on his woman at this Cowboys game. I'm going to lay this to rest. There's two scenarios. There's not a third. If he bought the tickets for her to take her to a Cowboys playoff game, she is not the side chick. If the girl bought the tickets for him to a Cowboys playoff game, she is not the side chick. The girl that's not at this football game is the side chick. I don't care whichever way you write the story, I'm taking you to a playoff NFL football game. You're not the side chick. Period, point blank. It's over. It's a wrap. You are the side chick. And ladies, I can say this on this podcast because guess what? The ladies that listen to this, they're sports fans. It is important to support your man in his sports endeavors. You will be the main chick. There will be no side chick.
No.
Bruh. And please, I need you to do something about them ears. Them ears are out there, boy. Dumbo, fly. With that being said, that's it. I'm done with it. Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, it's been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. Thank you for bearing with us. We've had some technical difficulties throughout the episode, but guess what? We'll still bring it to you. It's been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. We've had some technical difficulties, but we still bring it to you. And then in closing, do something nice for yourself. If you can, do something nice for someone else. They'll greatly appreciate it now more than ever. It's been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. And as always, thanks for listening with our technical difficulties and all. We love you, baby. See you next week.
Yes, sir.
And we out.